leader at that time after 2 rounds was Dustin Johnson, and he was somewhere around like 14 under, something like that. So, Tiger Woods 20 strokes behind out of the lead, 7 strokes from making the cut. Put him like put a nail in the coffin of his career. He is done, unless he completely changes as a person. And I don't know. That almost never happens with anyone ever for any reason. But unless he completely changes as a person, he's done. He will never be relevant in the sport of golf again outside of being a sideshow, novelty act, special attraction. That is what Tiger Woods' career has become. And it's sad, because if you're like me, you watched him dominate the game and the world of golf for a decade in a way that no one had ever done before. Maybe Hogan, maybe Nicklaus. I mean, you could make some arguments, but in his one prime decade, it was, he was arguably the greatest of all time. Now, the more of his career is there to look at and evaluate and assess. Yes, it is taking away from his legacy, and he is falling down the media and fans' all-time greats lists. I heard on K-Fan, the common man Dan Cole question whether he would even put Tiger Woods in his top 5 all-time golfers ever. And my understanding a few years ago, before Tiger Woods' fall from grace, was that the 2 greatest golfers of all time were Jack Nicklaus and then Tiger Woods, and Tiger Woods had a chance to surpass Jack, but that's where we were at. Now, like I said, you've got all kinds of sports media people, fans saying, no, Tiger Woods' career overall as a whole wasn't even better than Ben Hogan's or Arnold Palmer's or Sam Snead's or Gary Player's or Steve Ballesteros or, what, Payne Stewart. I mean, there are tons of names you can drop. Greg Norman. There's a ton of great all-time golfers, but we shouldn't devalue the level of excellence and dominance that Tiger displayed while he was on top. It's just sad to know what that was and what that looked like, to then see what he's become now. But anyway, that's it for Tiger talk. I shouldn't have devoted that much time to Tiger, a guy who doesn't even make the cut. But anyway, that's what Tiger's week or weekend was like. Now, at the ends of both round 1 and round 2, Dustin Johnson, a golf stud who's one of the best players in the world, and man, if he could just win that first major, he could be every bit as good as Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy or anybody else out there right now. But for whatever reason, this guy's just got some toxicity in him. Whether it be chemical or mental or emotional or metaphorical, this guy's just got toxic running through his veins. He can't do it come crunch time. He's just destroying the course, destroying the competitions, round 1, round 2. But that's been his MO for every major that he's been in. He's amazing for the first 2 or first 3 rounds, but on either day 3 or day 4, the wheels will come off. He just self-destructs for no apparent reason. And that's exactly what happened here again at the British Open. Except the difference between this and the U.S. Open, where he fell apart on the final round and particularly missed a 3 to 5 foot putt on 18 that would have sent him into a playoff for the championship. I mean, a 3 to 5 foot putt on the PGA Tour is as close to a gimme as you get. He just, like I said, the difference was this week he fell apart on day 3. He didn't wait till day 4 to fall apart. Round 3 was when the wheels came off for him. And there was an amateur leader at the end of the first 3 rounds, which I'm trying to remember. I didn't get as many notes off of that story as I would have liked, because come Sunday he was shooting like a 76, a 78, and completely off the leaderboard. But an amateur was your 54-hole leader at the end of 3 rounds of the British Open. So kudos to that guy. Kid, forget his name. Should have looked that up. Sorry, someone look that up and put it in the comments section, either on the Facebook or on the Spreaker or anywhere. Find out what the amateur leader's name at the end of the 3rd round of the British Open was. I would greatly appreciate it. But good for him. We also had, let's see, okay, so that brings us, let's catch up here to the final day. On the final day of the tournament, which was Monday, like I said, only the 2nd time ever that had happened, we ended up with a 3-way aggregate playoff, which means the competitors play 4 holes, and then the best cumulative score of those 4 holes is the winner. If there is still a tie at the end of that, then they go into sudden death. But we had a 3-way aggregate playoff, and we could have had an up to 5-way aggregate playoff. But Jordan Spieth, who just needed to par 17 and 18 to be in the playoff, got a very uncharacteristic bogey on 17. And then on 18, he had to try putting from off the green, and he just barely missed it for birdie. And there went everyone's hopes of 3 in a row Grand Slam titles for Jordan Spieth. Like I said, he finished tied for 4th, 1 stroke behind the winner. So, as heartbreaking as that was for a Spieth fan, for got to imagine for Spieth himself, he conducts himself in the highest class as always. As soon as he did it, he wished good luck to Zach Johnson, who was going into the 3-way playoff. They are friends, although Zach Johnson is considerably older than Jason Spieth. Now, Jason Spieth's partner, before I move on to the playoffs, sorry. Jason Spieth's Jordan Spieth, Jesus, sorry, holy guacamole. Anyway, Jordan Spieth's partner, at least I caught it this time. A lot of times I do crap like that and I don't even catch it till I'm listening back to it, and then I'm like, oh, geez, is that what I said? I'm an idiot. How did I not catch that? Well, and I'm still an idiot, but but anyway, Jordan Spieth's playing partner on the final day was Jason Day, and that was my Masters preview prediction. And he is almost identical to Dustin Johnson. The guy's got all the game in the world and is as talented of a golfer as anyone on the planet right now. But for some reason, when they're in a major golf tournament, day 3 or day 4 is going to bite him. And it was the same way with Day. He had a really tough off the green putt as well on 18 that would have allowed him to get into the playoff. He left it short, which, man, I mean, if you're going to miss it, you blow it past the hole. You can't miss it short. It's your last shot. Like, you got to at least get it there. So you feel for him, but he's a lot younger. He's closer to the Rory, Jordan Spieth age of the spectrum, whereas Dustin Johnson, while he's considered a younger guy, I want to say he's like 31, 32, somewhere in there. And Jordan Spieth's only 22, so, but anyway, that was your final pairing on the final day, and they both missed being in the playoff by 1 stroke, and they're 2 of the best young golfers in the world. There are so many good, talented young golfers out there right now on the PGA Tour. We don't need Tiger Woods. We need to move on from Tiger Woods. We need to respect and remember the greatness that he offered to us in the past. And that's where we need to leave it. And we need to focus on who's great now. And Tiger Woods isn't even an honorable mention candidate for that discussion. So, the three-way playoff, finally wrapping up this golf talk here, the three-way playoff at the British Open featured Zach Johnson, who had actually finished his round about an hour and a half before Spieth and Day in the final group finished theirs. Louis Oosthuizen, another former major winner who hardcore golf fans would recognize that name. And then I believe it's Paul, it might be Pat, I can't remember, but I think it's Paul Meisher was the unknown who made it into the three-way playoff. And that was by far who I found myself rooting the most for. The other guys, Zach Johnson, Oosthuizen, they had both won a major in their careers. This Meisher guy was unknown. I want to say he was from the area as well, was from Ireland or something like that. You know, somewhere in the area, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, somebody, please. But he missed the Masters because his wife was on her deathbed with an illness, a mysterious illness. So he was getting ready to go to the Masters, canceled that to be with her. They ended up finding out what it was wrong with her and were able to successfully treat her. And so she is now back healthy, doing wonderful, and he is able to get back out to his career, which just so happens to be on a golf course. Lucky SOB. But so, like I said, you had two guys that were somewhat known from different places. One's from Iowa, one's from South Africa, I want to say, in Oosthuizen. And then you've got an unknown with a great, heartwarming story. You had two big names just barely missed, so it was all kinds of drama. Then, like I said, you had the aggregate style of a playoff system where they pick 4 holes, the first, the second, the 17th, the 18th, and they play all 4 of them, and then take the best cumulative score from those 4 out of the competitors. The other 2 tiebreaker formats that the PGA Tour has in majors is a sudden death playoff and a whole nother round, a whole nother 18 round. That's what they do in the U.S. Open. If the U.S. Open golf tournament ends in a tie, who's ever tied for the lead, they show up the next day and play a whole nother 18 holes. I don't like that one bit under any normal circumstance, but I will give you. Okay, let me finish with what happened, and then I'll give you my bold change, my bold format change idea a little bit, and see what everybody thinks, and then we'll move on to more talk. We'll wrap up the meat and move on to other sports. But so anyway, in the three-way, aggregate playoff, 4 holes, 3-way, a 3-way 4-holer. Yeah, I've heard of that before. Anyway, Zach Johnson from Iowa ended up being your winner and won his second major. He is I believe, the second person ever to win his first 2 majors at Augusta National and St. Andrews Golf Course, which is where the British Open was held. St. Andrews Golf Course, the birthplace of golf. So that was cool. And like I said, Zach Johnson, at the end of it, seemed super humble and grateful and happy, as you would expect anyone to. But a lot of times at things like this, you see guys just kind of a little, hey, look at me, I'm great, and that's it. Where Zach Johnson was very, very much the opposite of that. Did nothing but praise the other competitors, both for their game and their character. Did nothing but thank people, and it was just it was a really good. I thought, at least, for not having Spieth win it, having that big name win it, Spieth or maybe Dustin Johnson or Day, since they're a big name without a major. But without having that big name in there, I felt like it was the best we could have gotten for an ending to that tournament, as well as when you include all the delays, the weather delays that they had there. Golf is such a rhythm game that when you have to start and stop and start and stop and replan and all that stuff, it affects your focus, it affects your attitude, it affects your energy, and all those things affect your ability to play golf well. So, like I said, keeping in mind all those things, I felt that the British Open was a really